Welcome to this explainer. Let's just dive right in, shall we? Look, we have absolutely all been there, sitting at our desks, staring at a blank screen, or looking at some massive project, completely frozen. You really want to start, you know you need to start, but instead you just sit there, overthinking every single little detail. The perfectionism creeps in, analysis paralysis totally takes over, and before you know it, the whole day is gone. It's a completely universal struggle. But today we're going to break that cycle for good by looking at some brilliant insights from Peter Hollins' action framework.
So why do we think so much, but actually do so little? It's literally the most frustrating thing, isn't it? You might even be sitting there right now labeling yourself as lazy or a chronic procrastinator. But what if the problem isn't actually your willpower, but just your approach? In this explainer, we're going to unpack a super practical toolkit directly from the source material. It's designed to shift your brain out of that endless loop of thinking and turn it into a continuous engine of doing.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with overcoming the inertia trap and how action creates true motivation. Then, we'll look at the value of calculated risk, mastering your task lists, automating your daily decisions, and finally, managing your energy rhythms.
All right, part 1. Overcoming the inertia trap by lowering your standards to start. You know that feeling of heavy stagnation? That's inertia. We usually freeze up because we think a task has to be absolutely perfect right out of the gate. On the perfectionist mindset side, say you want to start exercising, and you tell yourself, I have to do a grueling, intense 1-hour workout. Your brain sees that massive mountain to climb, gets totally terrified, and just shuts down. But what if you adopt the action mindset? What if you just commit to a 5-minute stretch? Or instead of agonizing over a flawless 10-page report, you give yourself permission to just write one completely terrible first paragraph. By actually lowering your initial standards, you completely remove the fear of the finish line. Let's be honest, the first draft is always going to be bad, but giving yourself permission to just be average at the very start is the absolute secret to destroying inertia.
Moving on to part 2. Action creates true motivation, also known as the motivation myth.
Society kind of tells us that we need to feel motivated before we can start a task, right? We literally just sit around waiting for this magical wave of inspiration to hit us. But here's the reality. True motivation doesn't come first. Action does. If you really don't want to read a long book, take a micro action. Tell yourself you're going to read exactly 2 pages. That tiny little action gets your brain in the game. You get a small result, which boosts your confidence, and that is what creates actual, true motivation. It's a loop. Action breeds motivation. Definitely not the other way around. And honestly, the best part, it totally shifts your self-image. You stop labeling yourself as lazy and start seeing yourself as someone who actually gets things done, even when they don't feel like it.
Part 3. The value of calculated risk and stepping out of that comfort zone.
A lot of times, we overthink things simply because we are terrified of making a mistake. And yeah, staying in your comfort zone feels nice and safe, but it puts a hard limit on your growth. It's kind of like a kid learning to ride a bicycle. If they absolutely refuse to pedal because they're scared of falling, they're never going to learn to ride. Falling is literally part of the process. World-class success absolutely requires risk. Look at Steve Jobs building Apple, or Elon Musk with Tesla and SpaceX. They didn't just close their eyes and jump blindly, though. They embraced calculated risks. They analyzed the situations, they accepted that failure was a very real possibility, and honestly, a necessary learning opportunity, and then they acted anyway, despite the fear. Taking those kinds of risks builds serious mental resilience.
Part 4. Mastering your task lists with don't do and burner lists. All right, so now that we've cleared out the internal mental roadblocks, let's look at taking outer action. We all love a standard to-do list, sure, but it is deeply flawed if you don't have boundaries to protect your focus. The ultimate fix here is the don't-do list, because it's just as important to define what you absolutely will not do as it is to define what you will. Things like no social media before 10 a.m., no checking emails every 5 minutes, no unnecessary meetings. Banning these specific, daily distractions fiercely protects your deep work. It gives you immense mental and emotional clarity because you aren't constantly burning energy deciding whether or not to scroll on your phone. You've already made the rule.
And to handle the stuff you do need to tackle, we use the burner list. Picture a chef's stove. On your front burner, you have a pot that needs constant stirring. These are your urgent, really important goals, like launching a major project at work. It requires high attention right now. Then, on the back burner, you've got ideas that are just kind of simmering for the future. Low priority at the moment, maybe like learning a new hobby. By categorizing your life this way, you totally prevent the trap of multitasking. You stop trying to cook 5 complicated meals on high heat all at the exact same time. You just direct your absolute best energy right to the front burner.
Next up, Part 5, automating your daily decisions using the superstructure model.
Did you know your brain literally gets tired from making choices? It's called decision fatigue. If you're constantly overanalyzing minor everyday choices like what to wear, what to eat, or which email to answer first, you are completely draining your mental battery before you even get to the big important decisions of your day. To combat this, successful leaders simplify their everyday choices. Tech leaders like Mark Zuckerberg and Steve Jobs famously wore the exact same clothes every single day. Why? To automate a basic decision and avoid decision paralysis. They were preserving their brain power for what truly mattered, like running multi-billion-dollar companies.
So how can we do this? We set up superstructure filters. Before you let yourself agonize over a choice, just run it through a predefined system. Does this align with my long-term goals? Is this using my energy in the right direction? What is the absolute worst-case scenario? Having these criteria preset is amazing. It means you don't have to sit there and rethink your entire life's philosophy every single time a new opportunity or distraction pops up. You just make faster, smarter decisions that are perfectly aligned with exactly where you want to go.
All right, Part 6, managing your energy rhythms by working with your biology.
Look, we have to face a basic biological reality here. You simply cannot maintain peak energy for 8 straight hours. It's impossible. This comes down to ultradian rhythms. These are the natural 90 to 120-minute biological cycles our bodies constantly go through, dictating the peaks and dips in our daily energy and focus. Trying to fight against this natural rhythm by powering through an entire workday without breaks is a guaranteed one-way ticket to immediate burnout. The most productive people in the world don't fight their biology, they actually lean in and work with it. So here's exactly how you map this out for your day. Let's say you hit an energy peak around 10 a.m. That is the time to do your most demanding, creative, deep work. When your energy naturally dips around 11:30 a.m., don't try to force more deep work. Just switch to lower energy admin tasks, like checking emails or planning out tomorrow. Then, at 12 p.m., take a real 30-minute recovery break, like actually step away from the desk. Then, at 12:30, start the next cycle completely fresh. You see, this isn't just about time management anymore. This is true energy management.
And finally, our conclusion. Moving from thinking to actually doing. Just look at the incredible roadmap we've covered in this explainer today. We learned how to completely beat mental inertia just by lowering our standards so we can take that crucial first step. We busted the motivation myth, realizing that action is what creates motivation, definitely not the other way around. We categorized our tasks to fiercely protect our focus, and we learned how to ride our natural biological rhythms for maximum productivity. So here's my final question for you. What 5-minute action are you going to take right now? Seriously, the second this explainer ends, don't just sit there and overthink everything we just talked about. Close this window, pick one tiny task, lower your standards, and immediately ignite your very own action loop. Go start doing. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.